To your point though about the way it plays on the relationship, I can imagine it's tricky being the younger one, feeling like you're being told on often to the parent and then being suffering consequences. So I can imagine like how that could possibly strain the relationship between the siblings, right? But
Yeah.
but I like the way that you explained how you got elevated to that role and you sort of grew accustomed to it because I imagine you had to do it for some time, and it's maybe at some point it starts to become a part of you, and then learning how and when maybe if appropriate to separate that to
Mhm.
say, hey, I want you to be like a kid again or a teen again. I want you to actually be yourself, do things that are age appropriate. You don't have to do these things. I'm sorry you had to do them in the first place, but I don't want you doing those things anymore. Let me take that over. You go back to just being a child. But I imagine in a lot of cases we don't have those conversations. So then it's just kind of, I'm like walking between, not really sure how to interpret that or how to behave. I don't know if that was at all a conversation you guys had.
Yeah, yeah, and it was just, this adjustment again, that with dad back in the picture, we knew that both parents were now running the home. But like I said, just kind of hard to break that when I've been programmed to take that role for,
Yeah.
a couple of years. I mean, he would come and visit and what have you, and even come stay with us, but him and mom technically weren't together.
Right.
So it's kind of like he was out of the picture in many regards. Um, I can honestly say though, in all honesty, I didn't take any pleasure, of course, in just again ratting them out, telling my
Yeah.
mom they didn't do this and didn't do that. I didn't take any pleasure in being an authority figure, nor did I try to just be you know a parent type figure, but just one who took pleasure. Like, well, you need to listen to me, and I can tell you what to do. Mom gave me power, things like that. I
Yeah.
I never did. I never did. But I think just for all of us at the time, a lot of it had to do with just recovering from the shock that mom and dad weren't together.
Hmm.
We were still young, so there was a lot that we didn't understand. But when a child is that young and sees his or her parents not living together, there's a lot going on up there. There are a lot of emotions. Of course, a
Hmm.
lot of children feel a sense of guilt, shame, and blame that we had something to do with this. And I can probably go on another couple of hours long conversation about this, but
Right.
again, we were just reeling from the fact that they're not together, and so it was like, oh wow, so this is really happening, and now um, it's just the four of us. So
Yeah.
my youngest sister came after he moved back in a
Oh,
couple of
okay.
years later. But yeah, it's just like, oh wow, this is so weird. So just not being able to articulate that, even though something was there. And of course, this was in the 80s, the mid late 80s. Mental health awareness was starting to gain some traction, but not
Hmm.
as much as it is now. Even though we still have a lot of work to do now,
Yes,
but
sir.
nevertheless, still, you don't talk about these things. And then there's the whole cultural dynamic is that we don't share our problems outside of the family. We don't even share our problems with other family members outside of our nuclear family. So there's
Yes.
just this heavy weight that we were carrying, but we just had to deal with it, and which caused this weird dynamic to even feel weirder in many regards.